The alien fleets arrived without warning. There was no loud speech sent to Earth and no demand made to leaders. One moment the sky was normal. The next, strange shapes filled the upper air and space beyond. They moved slowly and with purpose, like they had already measured everything. They did not burn cities or drop bombs. That surprised many people. Instead, lights went out. Satellites stopped working. Phones went silent. Power plants shut down one by one. Airplanes were forced to land. Ships lost their paths at sea. Trade stopped in a single day. It felt like the world had been gently but firmly turned off. From orbit, Earth looked calm. No fires. No smoke. Just a quiet planet spinning below. The alien leaders watched screens filled with data and agreed the plan was working. Humans, they believed, depended on systems too much. Without them, people would wait, panic, and then submit. It had worked on other worlds. On the ground, life changed fast. Daniel Wright stood in his small apartment and stared at a dark wall where a screen used to glow. He was a former engineer, someone who had spent years fixing machines and improving systems. Now every system he knew was gone. The silence bothered him more than fear. No hum of power. No distant traffic noise. Just wind and voices from the street below. He stepped outside. People were gathered in small groups, talking in low voices. No one knew what to do. Some were angry. Some cried. Others just stood and waited as if someone would explain everything. Daniel listened more than he spoke. He noticed something important. The machines were gone, but the people were still here. Hands still worked. Minds still thought. That idea stayed with him. Across the city, Emma Clark locked the door of her school and slipped the key into her bag. The building was empty now. Children had been sent home early when the power failed. Emma was a school teacher, used to order and routine. Now even the clock on the wall had stopped. She walked through quiet streets, carrying books instead of a phone. Parents asked her questions she could not answer. Will school open again? Is this the end? Emma did not lie. She said, I don't know. But we will keep teaching. One way or another. At night the sky changed. Alien ships hung above the clouds, dark and silent. No lights blinked. No sound came down. They were simply there watching. People stared upward with fear and anger mixed together. The aliens sent short messages through old channels that still worked for a moment. The message was simple. Earth was under control. Resistance was not needed. Cooperation would bring order. The words were calm and cold, like instructions. Some humans believed them. Others did not. Daniel walked long distances now. Elevators did not work. Cars were useless. He met neighbors he had never spoken to before. One man had medical training. Another knew how to grow food. An old woman remembered life before modern power and shared what she knew. Daniel realized something the aliens had missed. Humans were not one system. There were many small ones. Emma gathered children and adults in parks and open spaces. She read aloud from books. She taught math using stones and sticks. She showed people how to write messages clearly so others could understand. Knowledge does not need power, she told them. It only needs people. Fear was everywhere, but it was changing shape. At first it froze people. Later it pushed them to move. Quiet anger grew. Not loud anger. Not shouting. Just a steady feeling that this world was theirs, not something to be owned. The aliens watched human cities grow darker and quieter. Their reports showed no large military action. No organized attack. They marked Earth as secured. To them, silence meant success. But silence was not emptiness. In small homes, people planned how to survive the next day. In dark rooms, candles burned. Food was shared. Skills were exchanged. Daniel fixed simple machines that did not rely on power grids. Emma helped people remember how to learn together. Above it all, the alien fleets drifted, already thinking of other worlds. They believed Earth was finished. They were wrong, but they did not know it yet. Days passed and then weeks. Without power and clear lines of command, human governments began to fade. Offices stayed closed. Messages never reached their targets. Some leaders tried to speak, but no one could hear them. Others simply disappeared into the quiet. The old world of control and rules slowly fell apart. But people did not. In towns and cities, small groups formed on their own. Not because anyone ordered them to, but because living alone was harder than living together. Neighbors knocked on doors they had ignored for years. Streets became meeting places. Empty stores turned into shelters and kitchens. Daniel Wright moved from building to building carrying a small bag of tools. He searched for old machines, the kind built before everything depended on distant systems. Hand pumps. Manual generators. Simple engines. Most were broken, dusty, and forgotten. Daniel cleaned them, fixed them, and showed others how they worked. Keep it simple, he told anyone who watched. Simple things break less. People listened. Soon others began doing the same. A woman repaired bicycles so people could travel again. A man fixed water pumps using scrap metal. Each working machine gave people confidence. The aliens had taken the big systems, but they could not take every small one. Across the city, Emma Clark turned an old community center into a place of learning. There were no screens, no lights, and no desks in neat rows. People sat on the floor or on wooden benches. Children came first, but adults stayed too. Emma taught reading, writing, and counting. She showed how to measure time using the sun. She taught basic health care and how to keep records on paper. If you can teach one person, she said, you can teach many. Her calm voice helped people focus. Fear did not disappear, but it no longer ruled every thought. Farmers walked in from the edges of the city with news of fields still growing food. Doctors shared what medicine they had left and taught others how to help with simple injuries. Mechanics worked beside engineers without caring about titles. What mattered was skill, not rank. Slowly, a new rhythm formed. The aliens noticed signs of movement. Their sensors detected heat where there should have been none. Lights appeared at night, small and weak but steady. Human travel increased even without vehicles. Reports were sent to alien commanders. They were not worried. The data showed no large weapons being built. No central command. No clear plan. According to their models, humans without systems should be lost, arguing and waiting for direction. The activity was marked as survival behavior, nothing more. They did not see the meaning behind it. Daniel and Emma never met, but their work touched the same people. A student from Emma's group helped carry parts for Daniel. A farmer who learned basic math from Emma brought food to a workshop Daniel helped repair. Knowledge and tools moved quietly from place to place. People began to stop asking when help would come from above. They started asking what they could do next. At night, alien ships still filled the sky. Their presence was heavy, but their silence felt different now. It no longer meant the end. It became something to endure. Children played again even under dark skies. Adults planned tomorrow's work. Stories were told about life before and life ahead. The aliens saw effort without order and called it weakness. They did not understand that humans were not trying because they expected to win. They were trying because stopping meant losing everything. And that was something no model could measure. The alien leaders noticed that humans were not fading away as expected. Food still moved. People still gathered. Small lights still appeared at night. This was not how a secured world should look. After long discussion, they decided to tighten control. A few regions were chosen as examples. Alien machines descended into selected cities and towns. They did not destroy everything. They removed what little was working. Water pumps were taken apart. Simple workshops were crushed. In some places, people were forced to watch as their shared spaces were erased. The message was clear. Trying would only bring loss. Then communication stopped completely. Even the weak channels humans had rebuilt went silent. Radios died without warning. Signals vanished mid-sentence. For a moment, fear returned like a cold wind. People felt alone again, cut off from everyone else. The aliens waited for panic. It did not come. Instead, humans adjusted. When radios failed, people began to walk. Runners were chosen not for strength alone, but for trust. They carried messages written on paper, wrapped in cloth, hidden in bags. Paths formed between towns and neighborhoods. What began as a few walkers became quiet lines of movement. Daniel Wright helped build small relay points. Old buildings were marked with signs only humans understood. A runner could stop, rest, eat, and pass information forward. Daniel taught people how to write messages clearly and simply, so nothing was lost along the way. Short words, he said. Clear meaning. Emma Clark faced a different challenge. Many children were scared again. Some adults were angry. Emma gathered them and spoke slowly. Fear is loud, she said. But action is stronger. She helped people remember older ways to share news. Bells, flags, painted symbols on walls. Simple signs that told others where help was needed or where danger waited. She taught people how to listen again, not to machines but to each other. Across the world, similar things happen without planning. In one town, an old radio expert rebuilt sets from scraps and powered them with hand cranks. In another, cyclists carried messages faster than runners. Farmers left marks in fields to guide travelers. Doctors trained helpers who trained others. No single person led it. That confused the aliens. Alien commanders gathered data and argued. Some believed stronger force was needed. Others warned that pressure was causing strange results. Every time control increased, human behavior changed. There was no pattern long enough to predict. A report showed something troubling. When one group was punished, nearby groups did not freeze. They adapted faster. When a tool was destroyed, 3 new ones appeared elsewhere. Loss did not reduce effort. It redirected it. Daniel never saw Emma, but her influence reached him. A runner arrived with a note written by one of her students. It explained a new way to share lessons without gathering crowds. Daniel smiled as he read it. He passed the idea along to others. Emma received news shaped by Daniel's work. She heard how machines were being simplified, made harder to detect and easier to fix. She adjusted her teaching to match. Build things you can hide, she told her students. Build things you can remake. Small choices mattered. A woman shared food instead of saving it. A man taught a stranger how to repair shoes. A child carried a message without being asked. None of it looked important alone. Together it changed everything. The aliens could not understand why humans kept choosing effort over safety. Their models assumed fear would stop risk. Humans felt fear, but they acted anyway. That made prediction impossible. One alien commander suggested humans were not thinking clearly. Another argued the opposite. They think too freely, they said. They do not repeat themselves. Human behavior shifted daily. Plans changed mid-action. Help came from unexpected places. There was no fixed shape to control. From orbit, Earth still looked dark and quiet. But inside that quiet, movement never stopped. The aliens marked new notes into their records. Behavior unstable. Control incomplete. They did not yet admit the truth. They were losing control not because humans were strong but because humans refused to stay the same. Human resistance no longer stayed hidden. It did not rise as a single army or follow one plan. It appeared in many places at once, quiet but clear. The aliens first noticed it when their supply routes began to fail. Machines that once moved without trouble started arriving late, damaged or not at all. Nothing attacked them directly. Paths were blocked at the wrong time. Bridges collapsed just after alien transports crossed, cutting return routes. Landing zones were made useless with simple traps, mud and debris. Small delays grew into large problems. Alien schedules stopped matching reality. Alien machines began to fail in ways no report could explain. Sensors gave wrong readings. Navigation systems pointed to empty places. Power units shut down after minor damage that should not have mattered. Every failure looked small. Together they slowed everything. Humans learned timing. They did not strike first. They waited. They watched patterns and learned when machines moved and when crews rested. They acted between moments, not during them. That made their actions hard to track. No single leader gave orders. No name appeared again and again in reports. Decisions were made where people stood, based on what they saw that day, that hour. If a plan failed, it was changed by nightfall. If it worked, it was shared quietly. Losses happened. Some groups were caught. Some tools were taken. Some people did not return. Grief spread, but it did not stop action. Every loss became a lesson. People asked what went wrong, not who to blame. They adjusted and moved on. Emma Clark focused on tools anyone could use. She worked with teachers, farmers, and builders to design simple things. Signal mirrors made from broken glass. Hand tools that could be taken apart and hidden. Written guides that showed how to repair, not just how to build. Nothing that needs a factory, she said. Nothing that needs permission. Her lessons traveled faster than she did. People copied her guides by hand. Children learned to teach others. Knowledge spread in pieces, not packages. That made it hard to erase. Daniel Wright joined a group that called themselves Watchers, not Fighters. Their goal was not land or control. It was people. They moved between communities, warning them of danger and helping them move when needed. They did not stay long in one place. Daniel helped design safe paths through cities and fields. He taught people how to leave no clear trace and how to return later. Protect people, he told the group. Places can wait. Alien commanders grew frustrated. Reports showed resistance, but it did not behave like war. There were no strongholds to destroy, no leaders to remove. Every time pressure increased, resistance shifted somewhere else. Control zones became empty as people moved away before force arrived. One commander argued that humans were breaking rules of conflict. Another replied that humans had never agreed to those rules. Data screens filled with red marks where predictions failed. Why do they keep acting? One asked. They gain nothing. Another answered quietly. They gain each other. That idea did not fit their models. Humans did not wait for perfect chances. They acted with what they had. A delayed machine here. a blocked route there. Each action alone meant little. Together, they forced the aliens to spend more effort holding ground than expanding control. Alien supply needs grew. Repairs took longer. Crews became tired. Control required constant attention. The cost rose. Emma heard about alien failures through shared stories, not reports. A traveler told her about a machine stopped by water and dirt. A child described how lights went dark after a simple switch was removed. Emma adjusted her lessons again. Learn how things fail, she said. Not how they work when perfect. Daniel's group saved a village by moving it overnight. Families packed only what they could carry. By morning, alien units arrived to find empty buildings and quiet roads. No victory was recorded. Only confusion. Across the world, similar things happened. The aliens finally began to understand the problem. They had taken systems, but humans had changed how they lived. Control without understanding had worked before, on worlds where behavior stayed the same. Humans did not stay the same. They learned faster than control could adjust. An alien report summarized it simply. Human response adapts faster than enforcement. For the first time, the word mistake appeared in their records. On Earth, people did not celebrate. They worked. Resistance was not a moment. It was a habit now. And it was growing. The change did not come with a warning. One day, alien ships still filled the sky. The next, some were gone. At first, people thought it was a trick. They waited. They watched. Then more ships moved away, rising slowly into the dark. No message followed. No threat was made. The silence felt different this time. The alien fleets were leaving. From their command vessels, alien leaders reviewed final reports. Control had become too costly. Every gain required constant effort. Every action caused humans to change again. There was no stable pattern to lock onto. No final move that ended resistance. Their records described humanity with words never used before. Unstable. Unpredictable. Dangerous. Not because humans were stronger. Not because their weapons were better. But because humans chose differently each time. They did not follow one path. They did not repeat failure. They did not stop adapting. The decision was made. Earth was no longer worth the loss. As the last ships pulled back, people stood outside and watched the sky clear. Some cried. Some stayed silent. No one cheered loudly. Survival had taught them caution. Daniel Wright stood near a broken road where people were already working. No one had told them to start. They just did. Stones were moved. Tools were shared. Plans were spoken, changed, and spoken again. Daniel saw no leader giving orders. Yet the work moved forward. Power returned slowly. Not all at once. Small generators came first. Then repaired lines in short stretches. Lights came back to single buildings, then streets, then neighborhoods. When something failed, people fixed it or worked around it. Daniel smiled at that. Emma Clark walked through her old school building weeks later. Dust covered the floors. Windows were cracked. But the walls still stood. She cleaned one room with help from others and opened the doors. Children arrived quietly, unsure if it was real. Emma began teaching again. Not from screens. From books, stories, and questions. Adults listened too. The lessons were different now. They were about sharing, learning, and remembering how to think together. Across the world, the same thing happened. Cities rebuilt without waiting for permission. Villages returned to places once abandoned. Food networks grew strong again. Old systems were replaced with simpler ones, easier to fix and harder to control. Governments slowly reformed, but they were no longer the only voice. People trusted what they had built together. Councils formed. Decisions were discussed. Mistakes were accepted. Daniel watched people work side by side, strangers no longer afraid of one another. He realized something important. The aliens had taken control once because humans depended too much on systems. Now humans depended on each other. Emma stood outside one night and looked up. The sky was dark and empty again. No ships. No shadows moving across the stars. Just space, wide and quiet. She felt no pride. No anger. Only resolve. Humans had not won by force. They had survived by refusing to stop choosing, helping, and changing. They did not own the world. They never needed to. They simply refused to give it up.